Today, we're delving into the intricate world of breeding in Axie Infinity, an avenue with immense earning potential, yet not without substantial risks. I'll be sharing my personal approach to breeding, but it's important to note that I've only bred several hundred Axies, and I don't consider myself the ultimate expert. While I've gathered valuable lessons along the way, I'll be presenting the foundational basics of breeding, providing you with a starting point to expand upon. I'll also be documenting the beginning of a new farm and tracking its progress in the weeks ahead. If breeding piques your interest, I highly recommend subscribing to my channel and activating the bell button for timely notifications. It's important to note that what I'm undertaking involves certain risks. Therefore, I strongly discourage copying my approach and encourage you to conduct your own research before embarking on your breeding endeavor. Let's start with the basics of breeding. Axies can be bred up to 7 times, and the traits of the offspring depend not only on the parts of the parents, but also on their genes. The percentage distribution is as follows. The actual parts of the Axies are called dominant D genes and give a 37.5% chance of appearing in the offspring. Then we have recessive R1 genes that offer a 9.375% chance, and minor recessive R2 genes that provide a 3.125% chance. You can easily check the genes of each Axie in the marketplace. The best way to breed is when you have clear genes containing all the genes with the parts you want. Alternatively, you should at least aim for clearing dominant and R1 genes. Each breeding level costs 0.5xs, while the SLP cost increases exponentially based on the number of breeds. Each breed is more expensive than the previous one, so you should be very careful about how many times you breed your Axies. Overbreeding may prevent you from breaking even after selling them, while underbreeding might lead to potential profit loss and damage to your genes. Also remember that you can't breed Axies with their siblings or parents. Now that we know the basics, let's discuss the most crucial step: what to breed. The ideal scenario would be if you could create a new meta build that dominates the top 100. However, this often requires extensive insider information, and you either need to be one of the best players in the game or have access to their knowledge. Many breeders choose to join large guilds like MT8, Sura, or YGG to communicate with the guild's pro players and breed for them. If you manage to invent a new build, the Axies you need to start your farm would be relatively inexpensive. As they gain popularity, you will be one of the few who has them. Another strategy is to monitor the market and start breeding a meta team that is already popular. However, keep in mind that the entry level here is much more expensive, and there is significant competition from other breeders. It's crucial to conduct thorough research, as the build might already be overbred. Additionally, you need to forecast whether this build will remain strong in the next eras. We are currently approaching the end of the rare era, so the Axies I breed need to remain competitive in the epic and mystic era. If you decide to start a farm during the off-season, it should be after balancing changes for the next season. Before we continue, let's take a moment to acknowledge the sponsor of this video, my Lunation code, AxiePros. Using my Lunation code would mean a lot and greatly support the channel. Also, if you find yourself in need of assistance with team building, feel free to reach out to me on Discord or X. It's completely free of charge. As you might have noticed, I've chosen to start breeding Rage Axies. My reasoning is that there are still fewer than 400 Axies bred in this category, and it's arguably the most dominant team in the Epic era. This means that currently, there are Axies to supply less than 150 Rage teams. The best part is that this team remains strong in the Mystic era, especially with the buff that Endless Anger received in the new patch. There are a few ways to start your farm. One is to try and crossbreed Axies with one missing part, but good genes. Another approach is to buy virgin Axies and breed them several times, aiming to clear the genes. The third option is to buy 3, 4, or 5 breed Axies with great genes and breed them once or twice to get offspring with good genes. The first option can be expensive, as you need to buy the parents, which are worth nothing afterwards. Additionally, this build is very specific, and missing a single part can result in subpar Axies that are challenging to sell at a reasonable price. Even if you get good offspring, they may still have undesirable genes, requiring you to continue the process of clearing the genes. The second option is currently not feasible. Virgin Rage Axies are relatively expensive and often come with unfavorable genes. Breeding them multiple times can still result in offspring with insufficient traits to continue the lineage. For my strategy, I opted for the third option. I purchased 2 bug and 2 beast Axies with decent genes and bred them a total of 3 times. As these are meta Axies, I can potentially sell them at a good price, possibly even higher than the initial purchase cost. I'm contemplating whether to cancel the auctions and wait until the epic era begins, as Rage Axies are not as strong in the rare era. In epic, there could be an increase in demand and prices. So, here's how I selected the parents. Keep in mind they aren't perfect, but they were the best options available when I started 2 days ago. You can observe that the bug Axie has undesirable R2 genes on its tail and back, while the beast Axie has good genes for the back and tail, but unfavorable ones for the mouth and ears. I paired these Axies to compensate for each other's weaknesses, hoping that their traits would align and produce good offspring. I bred them twice, aiming to obtain at least one desirable Axie. However, there's a glitch. With a 50% chance of getting a bug Axie, there's a possibility of getting a shrimp bug, which is not ideal as it will have less than 12 potential points and won't be able to equip 3 rage masks. Nevertheless, this is a minor issue as it will still sell for a decent price, and I can transfer the genes onto a beast Axie afterward. As you can see, there is more than an 80% chance for each part, which is considered reasonable. I bred these Axies twice, so I'm hopeful to obtain good offspring. Examining the other couple, you can see that it's similar, but a bit worse, as both have bad R2 genes on their horn, reducing the chance to get an imp. While it's not perfect, there's still a good chance to get a nice hatching. If not, I'll have to adapt and explore other options, as this is the only breed I got from these 2 Axies. If you have any questions, please write them in the comments, and I'll reply as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, as I will follow up with the hatching in a few days.